So, who do you think would win between 100 men and one gorilla?
That's an interesting question because gorillas are pretty strong.
But 100 is a lot of men. They could all gang up on the gorilla.
Well, if they were bunched up, what if the gorilla was.
Have you considered the human trait to communicate complex ideas makes it a free match for the men? Okay, bye. As humans, it's a natural instinct to look at two people and imagine them beating each other to death. It's a tale as old as time, dating back to the Old Testament, now epitomized by the coldest line of all time. Nah, I'd win. The hypothetical of a death battle is a fun one, taking two heroes from different worlds and looking at feats and strength and odds overcome. Because that's how stories and characters work. It's all strengths and overcoming. But characters, like people, are not fixed in place. Let's think about Goku and Vegeta. They share physiology. They have a similar style. They share special moves. They defeated the same opponents. So who wins? It's Goku, because Goku is the hero. If you watch anything with sequels or episodes, you've probably noticed a pattern. There's obviously the hero's journey, but there's a micro pattern within every episode. So we got hero ventures into a new situation or meets a new character. A villain or force comes that is stronger than they are and threatens everything they stand for. The hero struggles against it, possibly failing multiple times. The hero overcomes the force, managing to use something they learned in training to better themselves. And then they venture on to something new. That is the cycle. This is every story. It's similar to the hero's journey, but it's like brain dead. It is as simple as it gets. They go to a new space, they run a new race, they start a new chase, and then they're at a new base. This isn't even just like fighting and combat. This is like romance, horror, mysteries, medical dramas. This is what makes long-lasting stories interesting. I have a graph here that's the relative power level of every arc in Dragon Ball Z compared to Goku. It's obvious, but it's important to think about storytelling if we're going to talk about a death battle. There's a reason Fast X is about saving the world and not robbing a bank. The stakes have to heighten. There has to be a place to rise to. It's part of why remakes and reboots help momentum. It goes back to a baseline that doesn't have to always be about saving the world. Every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer past season 4 is a threat to the world or the school or the main characters, just something so dire. Each episode, the villain becomes stronger because that is good storytelling. The reason this matters for this conversation is that Goku could never lose to Superman. Because even if Superman is stronger, Goku's whole thing is getting stronger than the next opponent. But Superman is the same way. Narrative is what makes heroes strong, not like some fixed thing in time. The reason heightening is important is the length of a story consistently increases the power level of the characters in it. So since Goku's been around since the 80s, he has gotten ridiculously powerful, but Superman's been around since the 30s. The question of who would win in a fight almost always is whose stories have been around longer. But okay, that's not very fun. Let's extract narrative out of the conversation. Let's just look at the thing that Death Battle looks at, and most people do when talking about power scaling, and that's abilities and feats. If this is the case, and we are taking characters in totality, there is no character in media that is stronger physically than Steve. Who wins is always up to the author. It doesn't matter that Superman is stronger than Batman. If it makes more sense for Batman to win, then Batman will win. There's no consistency because power doesn't matter. Think about Kirby. Kirby is a god killer. They have done it so many times, and that wasn't the point of Kirby. You know, Sakurai didn't invent Kirby to kill gods. They invented Kirby to be cute. But Kirby has been doing that since the 90s, and now, because they have so many games, they have no choice but to kill gods, because you can't reboot Kirby. You know, it's heightening. Sakurai didn't plan for Kirby to be stronger than Ultra Instinct Donkey Kong or whatever. He didn't consult anyone on it. He just made Kirby, and then the games continued. Let's bring it back to the leading question. 100 men versus 1 gorilla, a debate that is already outdated by the time I am recording this. The next question everybody always asks is, are the men armed? Okay, where are they? I think the only chance the gorilla wins is if the men are not armed and they are in a blank cube with walls. Then I think the gorilla stands a chance. Any other scenario, I think the men win, and I'll explain why. The problem with the concept of death battles is, what is victory? Victory is, by my definition, surviving longer than your opponent. That is what a death battle is. So, fellow 99 gorilla fighters, here is my pitch. We do not have to kill the gorilla. We have to survive the gorilla. So we run. We go away until the gorilla physically cannot chase us anymore. Then we find resources. We find wood. We find hemp. We find hide. We build fortifications. We do caveman stuff. We go into a cave. We start specializing. We get fletchers to make arrows. We get woodworkers to make bows. We get gatherers to go hunt for the resources that's required to make arrows and bows and spears. We need food. We need water. Since we are 100 people strong, the society that brings us together is much stronger than any sort of physical strength that we technically have over a gorilla. All we have to do if we want to kill the gorilla is build a society and protect it long enough for 10 people to get spears and everybody else to make bows. And we just corral the gorilla and hit it with arrows. But at that point, we don't even have to do that. Gorillas live about 40 years. Humans, so far, in a vacuum, have survived like millions. We could fence off the gorilla. We do this all the time. That's what a zoo is. We will survive. We will beat them if all we do is survive. If we build a society, there's no way for the gorilla to beat us, because society is what makes us so strong. We live in a society.
What about 100 gorillas versus 1 man?
What? Before I let you go, I'm going to hit some rapid fire who would win questions based on like narrative and power level from my personal definitions of victory. Flash versus Quicksilver. Now, I don't know how fast these two are compared to each other, but Flash can go back in time or forward in time. And time travel kind of just wins because you can go far enough in the future where your opponent is dead, or you can go far enough in the past and do whatever you want to your opponent's like parents. You know, there is no limit to the way you can stop an opponent when you have time travel. And maybe there's something about Quicksilver I don't know. I guess I don't know him that well, but I think he wins. 1 billion lions versus one of every Pokemon. This was pretty hotly contested for a minute. But I think Pokemon win every time. It doesn't matter how many lions there are, even. And here's why. I believe just Gengar can beat every lion. Gengars are immortal because they're already dead. They're ghosts. They don't need any kind of food, and they can go into the ground. The ability to hide yourself in matter is extremely powerful, so a Gengar can just wait for as long as it takes for the lions to die out from any number of factors. We could have an issue where the billion lions create society, kind of like in the gorilla thing, but I don't think they're going to create society enough to be able to kill a Gengar. And if you don't like that, alternatively, like Deoxys or any of the flying space gods can just fly up. And, we got Lion Catapult meme or whatever, but Deoxys speed can fly Mach speeds. There is no catapult that can do that. Goes into space, messes off for like 90 years or whatever. Pokemon win, unfortunately, because lions, well, they are cool, they are not magical. Alright, Godzilla versus King Kong. Godzilla is a nuclear reactor attached to a giant dinosaur. King Kong is like a big gorilla who shot lightning one time. Even if King Kong kills Godzilla, I think Godzilla always gets revenge in the form of radiation poisoning. Alright, Link versus Cloud. I guess Link? This one doesn't even really matter to me because Link, once again, is more of an idea. There's lots of Links with lots of different powers. It's the spirit passed on, and as far as I know, Cloud is not immortal. It doesn't matter if Link dies, Link will return in Majora's Mask. And both are good with weapons and kill gods. So my real question is, what are they fighting over? And that's my final point. In Clash movies, so much of the movie is filler. Batman vs. Superman, Godzilla vs. Kong, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. The point of these movies is you're waiting around for them to do the battle and you find out who wins. But it never really matters because they always work together in the end. Except Scott Pilgrim in the World. These movies miss the point. A point that I think is very important in this question is the big fight is the climax of emotions in battles like this. But what really matters is why they're fighting. And I think that's why Civil War is so good, is it is a big battle towards the end with all your favorite heroes, and they're doing the cool fight things that you wanted them to do. But what's really cool about it is the battle is a battle of ideals. No one is really wrong, but it matters why they are fighting more so than who wins. That's what Civil War, the comic, does so well too. It's not just the big epic action scene. Knowing who is going to win only matters if you know what they're fighting for.
Are you going to leave now?
Can I stay?
No.
Then yeah.